We're back once again. I welcome everyone in, and I just have to say that this planet that we're living on, this society, this world, it's getting crazier with every passing year. Crazy things have always been going on. We've had wars, we've had unalivings and deletions. You know what that means. We have to be careful what we say on social media. But I have to say, I was forwarded a video that was very disturbing. And what do I mean by that? Well, it was a short video, and it was a woman on a staircase walking up her steps to go to her apartment. And at the bottom of the staircase was a man. But what was going on? He was trying to talk to her. How did they meet? They met in the supermarket. But they didn't meet in the supermarket. They just passed each other by. And she happened to glance at him. And in glancing at him, he must have received it the wrong way. Because not only did he try to talk to her, not there in the supermarket, but he tried to talk to her when she got to her apartment, which means he followed her. Which means he basically stalked her, walked behind her, into the complex, up the steps, and tried to talk to her. And she played it off very well. She handled the situation very well. When she said, something to the effect of, and I'm not going to play the clip here. This is just a quick point that I want to make, and I'll put the link below so you can see it. But she acted friendly, but she was firm, basically saying, you followed me all the way to my apartment. And he basically said that he intended to possibly help her with her groceries. And it was more of an exchange, but she pretty much deflected and diffused the situation. But it was a very dangerous situation, because when you look closely at his hands, you notice that he had gloves on. And it was somewhat darkened, the video, in the way she was holding the phone. She didn't catch his face, but she caught his body. But he had gloves on. Gloves, I mean, like work gloves. What does that tell you? Well, if you combine the fact that he followed her all the way home, walked up the steps behind her, and approached her, what was his intention? Well, to me, he was trying to get to her apartment, open up her door, or have her door opened, and do something violent to her. Who knows what he would have done before, but gloves, which means to me, he didn't want fingerprints. Well, why wouldn't you want fingerprints if you had good intentions? But this is not proper to have good intentions, because you don't know this woman. You followed her home. That's creepy. That's creepy. And what I want to say is that you have so many weirdo men out here who are so juiced up off of Instagram and the bikinis and the behind shaking and the availability of porn. We don't know what these men are doing, and we don't know if they're using drugs. They're all hyped up on something. They're all pornoed out, all sexed out. They can't tell fantasy from reality. These are some weird dudes out here, ladies. And yes, we do have some weird ladies, but I'm saying it from the standpoint that I have daughters, and there are a lot of weird men out here. And it's even weirder than before. In this twilight zone of a world that we live in, like, we have this social media. It's worse than before, potentially, because a man can scroll through social media, find somebody he likes by the way they look, fixate on them, for weeks, months, or years. Know all about you. Look at the information you're putting out. Maybe find out your other social media platforms and show up at your door. Or make a dummy profile. Maybe another woman who has similar hobbies that you do. You might speak about your hobbies or speak about what you do. They can take a year and a half and make a profile of a woman. Say, for example, let's just say you're into some special type of cooking, some type of ethnic cooking. Well, this man, I'm just making this up to show you how some people can do, because there's a lot of women I know on social media and they tell me a lot of stories. And this one happens to be a mixture. And add or ask for, just friend request you. And you're all here into the same type of cooking. I mean, yes, let me. And then they get to see all of your friends, who you vibe with. They might even try to add friends from other people on your list. And you say, oh, they have something in common. Listen, there are many people who are listening now who have felt in the past that I blocked them or something. Yeah, there's a couple of nutcases I had to block. I'm not going to lie. But because of people that I know from the past, and this is my situation now, people I've grown up with, people I know really close, and they're people that I've just met or have no connection to these people that I know in real life, face to face from the past, and they've added them on as a friend. And these people I know, they blindly added them in or said, oh, that's a friend of Lance. I'll add them in. Ain't that something? Trying to hijack your life, get all up in your life, stalk you, lurk. You got a lot of lurkers out there. They'll fixate on you. Be careful. But I'm talking to the ladies. You should be able to carry yourself the way you wish to carry yourself. Now, it's a fine line too. Because society is the way it is, you got to be careful because, you might want to wear something a little tight, a little short. You should be able to do that. But I wouldn't suggest it anymore. Because when I used to work with the incarcerated, once in the jail and once in the prison, I used to speak to a lot of the people who were housed there. I don't feel like using the word inmate today. And there are a lot of guys who have some very deep-rooted sexual issues. And let me tell you something that you may not know. And I found this to be very common. There are a lot of men out here who have an anger toward the female sex. While you may think that nice summer dress that we can kind of see through is nice because it's nice and airy, you might have tights under it. You might be decent under it. But they don't know that. That little tight skirt that you're wearing to the club, well, that's what younger folks do when they go to the club sometime. But it's a different time because, and why I brought up the incarcerated, I've talked to many people who have actually RAP'd people, actually unalived people, meaning women. I mean, as men also, but I'm talking about those who have done this to women. I'm not going to say a certain number or percentage because I don't know it. But I learned something when I worked in those places. Because you see, we fall guilty of judging the world by the state of our own mind. If we don't steal, we have a tendency to think, oh, they're not going to steal from us. Oh, they're not going to talk about me. Oh, they're not going to try to make me lose my job. We don't know what these people are thinking. And I'm telling you, There are a lot of men who are very angry at women to the point of violence. If you catch them on the right day, if they, and it's hard to put it, but I'm gonna put it this way. If you happen to turn them on, see, they already have a problem. But if you happen to turn them on, they get angry at you. And they may not consciously know this, but they don't like the power that you have over them when they're in their lower mind. Because they already have a problem. They're probably a porn addict, a sex addict. And while one man may say, oh, you look nice, or he may even say to us, man, she is so sexy. He may even say, look at her backside. Look at those boobies. Look at it. But within reason, they're not going to disrespect you. They're not going to put their hand on you, and they're damn sure not going to follow you home. See, some men don't have that cutoff switch, but they can think things and see things and go, oh, wow, or whatever, and still treat you decent. You got some men who get pissed off to the fact that it's like you're teasing them. This is in their mind. Who does she think she is? Walking around like that, teasing me. And they get angry at you because they feel you have power over them. And then comes the words in their mind, whether it's stated this way or not. I'm going to show her. Who does she think she is? And they may approach you on a very gentlemanly, decent level, but that's short-lived. Just like the video of the man who followed the woman home, but he had gloves on. Just because she looked at him. How many times we go to the supermarket or we're in public and we stare somebody dead in the eye, but we're deep in thought and we don't even realize that we're looking at that person? You see what I mean? My mind is all over the place sometimes. When I'm in my zone, I might be out here in Ghana sitting in the back of a van and the crowds are walking by and we're at the red light and I'm seeing everybody walking by. There was one guy sitting next to me on the van a couple weeks ago and there were crowds walking by. It was a red light and there was some people walking next to the van. You know how they dart in between and they don't always cross at the green. And so the man said, oh, I see you looking at the backside of that woman. Yes, she has such a delicious backside. I said, who? Oh, come on, brother. You know, I saw you staring at her. I said, no, seriously, I was really thinking about something deep. You know? And he told me I was lying in nicer words. I said, okay, if you want to think that. But I saw you. See, you could be a woman staring at a man, looking at a man. I mean, it's okay if you do, but how are they going to receive it? Now, I'm not saying you have to have blinders or wear shades, or because men who are deranged and twisted will make up any reason for some kind of connection. Seriously. But I've spoken to many men who have taken the lives of many women. And I find that in lots of cases, and I'm talking about not their spouse or not their wife, not that that's any less. What I'm trying to say is that because the whole domestic violence thing, or that's a different category and it's just as tragic. I'm talking about strangers in the street. As you navigate these streets, be careful. Be careful. Because there are a lot of men who need mental help, combined with emotional issues, combined with drug addictions, and hurt and pain. You might remind them of a woman they dealt with when they weren't as bad. Men get hurt, and I know men who still cry over women that left them 45 years ago. that are married and have children, and they're still crying. The wife doesn't know. In every conversation, oh, I remember when me and so-and-so were together, and oh, what? Yes. And men are very good at hiding it, but they will approach you. And every monster, remember, was once a gentleman. And they will do anything to wiggle into your life if they like what they see, but yet at the same time despise the power that you have over them, because they think that you're teasing them, you're trying to lure them in to hurt them again. Men have relationships with women who don't even know them. And don't think you have to be dolled up. Oh, he can't be paying me any mind. I just threw on some jeans and a bonnet and slippers, and I didn't even take a shower today. That doesn't mean that he can't see your beauty, or that doesn't mean he can't fixate on you. How many times have we walked down the street with a friend and we see a woman with a man, or a man with a woman, whichever, and we'll say, I don't know what he sees in her, or I don't know what she sees in him. Now, that may be a natural attraction. We can't judge or assess what two people feel, because they can really love each other or have some kind of arrangement. But within reason, you know when something's off. So we don't know the power we have over other people. Why is it that way? It's human nature. And it's normal up to a certain point, but anybody in their right mind is not going to follow somebody home and wear gloves so there's no fingerprints. Do you know how many times people are unalived every day, especially in America, on some old weirdo man type stuff? And it doesn't hit the news because there's so much of that going on in other things. You got to remember, I've said this before. The news is a business, and they decide what they show and what is on the cutting room floor that you'll never know. How many times have things happened in your neighborhood and the news cameras weren't there? Their job is to keep the butts and your butt in the seat while you watch the news. That's all. Not to go and do every story, because it would be a 24-hour crime show just in a little area. So you got to be careful who's around you. Observe. Be careful who you get eye contact with. It doesn't mean you have to walk around with your head down. And maybe you might want to get some shades that are not too dark that you can wear in the daytime. That cuts that. You even have to be careful who you smile at. You can't even smile at everybody because you don't know how they're going to take it. Put on some headphones. And I'm not saying you can't vibe with people. You should be able to breathe and vibrate with people and be alive and be human. But that's not the society that we're living in anymore. The wrong glance, the wrong smile, the wrong acknowledgement, which is never wrong from your side because you're not trying to seduce anybody, but they'll take it the wrong way. Not as an insult, but as an invitation. And so it's a shame we have to put more stress on ourselves to negate the mental, emotional imbalances in other people, so it doesn't escalate into something more where we have to defend ourselves. And yes, please, ladies, get to the gun range, practice shooting, and purchase a weapon. Because things can happen so fast, and you might not be able to get to a phone to call the police. And if something's happening at the moment and a knife is involved on you, by the time the cops get there, he's gone. He's gone. It's a big world out here. And everybody doesn't have the right mental balance, and intention. Gone are the days where a young man can approach you and you feel comfortable about it. But remember, the frauds are just as good as the men who will approach you authentically. And if you are not interested, the good man will always accept it and move on, because there are a lot of women out here. But these men have different type of twisted fetishes, and something about you just might fit the bill. And you might look at yourself if you don't feel as though you're up to par in your looks, according to what the magazines and videos put out, right? But there's something about you that does it for him. Throw in there your energy, and it's not your fault, but this is reality. I want you to think about that. This is a short one, but I had to talk about that. I'm going to make sure the link is down in the bottom. Much love to you all. Leave your comments. Lancescurv out.